Tensions flare in Giants' loss to Phillies as Hicks and Lee describe heated, confusing exchanges with umpire. By Alex Pavlovich originally appeared on NBC Sports Bay Area. April 17, 2025 Philadelphia. In a game filled with emotion and unexpected moments, San Francisco Giants pitcher Jordan Hicks and outfielder Young-Hoo Lee found themselves at the center of a pair of strange confrontations with home plate umpire Phil Cousy during Thursday night's 6-4 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. For Hicks, the evening began on a sour note as he surrendered 5 runs in a turbulent first inning, but rather than unravel, the right-hander rebounded with a commanding performance, throwing 6 consecutive shutout innings to keep his team within striking distance. Hicks admitted post-game that he pitched with some anger and some passion, and it was evident in both his velocity and demeanor. That emotional edge, however, also led to several heated exchanges, first with Phillies players, then with the umpiring crew. Verbal clashes and unwanted attention. Tensions between Hicks and the Phillies began to rise after he hit shortstop Trey Turner with a blazing 101 mph fastball. The Phillies dugout voiced its displeasure, and the two sides engaged in animated back and forths throughout the game. One particularly testy moment came when Phillies third baseman Alec Bohm stepped out of the batter's box late, prompting more glaring and words from Hicks. The most peculiar moment, however, occurred at the end of the 7th inning. As Hicks exited the field after finishing his outing, home plate umpire Phil Cousy unexpectedly ran toward him and began shouting, an unusual sight that drew the attention of players and fans alike. "I wasn't talking to him at all," Hicks later explained, "so I didn't want him in my face, and I just kind of walked away to defuse the situation. It was pretty much like that all game, back and forth, everywhere. Just one of those days." Third baseman Matt Chapman was quick to intervene multiple times during the game, visiting the mound to calm Hicks and keep the situation from boiling over. After the game, Chapman downplayed the incident and pointed to the fiery competitiveness of both Hicks and Cousy. "It was two guys clashing a little bit. Both of them are a little hot-headed," Chapman said with a smile. "I'm glad nothing bad came out of it and Hicks was able to stay in the game. You saw how huge that was for us. I love the competitive spirit. I'm just glad things didn't get out of hand." Lee's confusing helmet tap leads to umpire discussion. While Hicks was battling on the mound, outfielder Young-Hoo Lee found himself involved in his own odd exchange with Cousy. This one marked by miscommunication and a language barrier. Lee entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning and legged out an infield single. During his at-bat, with the count at 1-1, Lee took a borderline pitch low in the strike zone for strike 2. As he often does, he instinctively tapped his helmet, a gesture that, during spring training, was used by players to challenge balls and strikes. Cousy interpreted the helmet tap as a protest or challenge of the call, and briefly addressed Lee. After the game-ending groundout by Christian Koss, the umpire approached the Giants' dugout area near the tunnel and had a follow-up discussion with Lee and interpreter Justin Hahn. Lee later explained the situation, saying the helmet tap was a routine part of his batting rhythm and not intended to question the umpire's call. "Everybody who watches Giants games probably knows that every pitch I go, I adjust my helmet. It's every pitch," Lee said through Hahn. "I told him that I don't speak English, and the umpire said something, and I kept saying I don't speak English. I think that's what happened. The umpire had a sensitive game. Probably, that's what happened in the game today." Crew chief provides clarification following the game. Crew chief Dan Bellino offered some clarity on Cousy's intentions. He noted that while players were permitted to use the helmet tap motion to challenge calls during spring training, that rule does not carry over into the regular season. "Because of what we experimented with in spring training, throughout Major League Baseball, we're not letting them tap their heads," Bellino explained to a Pool reporter. "That would be arguing balls and strikes. So, it's the same as arguing balls and strikes. I'm not saying that's what he was doing or not." Bellino added that Cousy was merely trying to remind Lee not to use that motion after disagreeing with a call, as it could be perceived as dissent. However, he acknowledged that the language barrier may have led to confusion. "Obviously, with the language barrier there, I don't know if Lee really understood what he was saying," Bellino said. "I think that was part of the miscommunication." A fiery night ends in frustration despite the odd incidents and early game troubles. Hicks gave the Giants a much-needed 7-inning effort with the bullpen short-staffed. Unfortunately for San Francisco, the early deficit proved too much to overcome, and the Phillies held on for the win. In a game marked by misunderstandings, strong emotions, and competitive fire on both sides, cooler heads ultimately prevailed. But not without a few eyebrow-raising moments along the way. Let me know if you want a more conversational tone or a version suitable for social media.